Content here is for informational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and guests.
Warning, this episode contains a few graphic descriptions.
Please be mindful while listening.
Hello, and welcome back to Autumn Land Defenders. Once again, we are your hosts.
My name is Azalea.
And my name is Sonia. Today we'll be discussing the 2023 documentary Coronado, The New Evidence with special guest and Xavier Allottee Board President Tony Burrell.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, like was mentioned, my name is Tony Burrell. I'm a resident here at WAC, and I am the board president, and I do sit on other committees here at the district and on the Santa Vera Co-op Farm Board. So, and then I've been, legislative council and district council, and so I've been around.
So we'll go ahead and start with the questions. Leah?
Okay, so for those of us who haven't seen the documentary, like myself, can you give us like a little bit of a summary of it and like what the main point of it was?
Sure. The film, we've shown that we had our first opening at the film festival that was held at the Loft Theater here in Tucson. So we were there, and then we've shown it like at in Nogales and twice at the district community or council chamber. And, there's other areas we've shown that. But what that is that I'm working with the archaeologist, Dr. Denny Seymour, and she's been studying Sabipri for maybe 30, 35 years. And she, it was kind of funny how we met about 17 years ago. We were at a talk when I was on I was the culture resource officer at Santa Vera. I went to a talk that the park ranger service, down in Rio Rico. And they were talking about the autumn and the Spanish and all that. But he had his facts all wrong, so. No. And I didn't know Denny, and she didn't know me, but her and her husband were standing in the back. And when he was talking, we kind of looked at each other and kind of made a face, So after that, we got together and we started talking. And what happened was that we met with the district council, got resolutions that allowed her to do research and surveys at Santa Vera. And so we started from there. And this new Coronado expedition documentary, we worked with a filmmaker. Her name is Frances Causey. She's a filmmaker, so she was interested and she wanted to do that. And what that is tells how Coronado. Well, I guess a lot of historians were thinking that he didn't set foot in Arizona, but with Denny's research, there is a trail that he came through, and then he established a town called San Jeronimo III down by Rio Rico. And of course, the Sabipri Autumn were there. And that's the main point, is that involved Sabipri Autumn, that they were the first contacts. And overall, they had a pitched battle down there because of what the captain was doing. He was raping women and girls of the autumn, and he was cutting off fingers and hands and tongues and noses of autumn. So they got fed up and, they revolted. And the funny part is that that revolution that happened was in I forgot the date, but it was in the 1500s. And you know what? I think you guys have heard of the Hopi revolt that happened, and they say that they were the first revolution in the Americas, but ours precedes them by 150 years. So, and what happened was when the Spaniards, we kicked them out, the Spaniards, and they didn't come back for 150 years. But the main point is that the Altam, Savaipri Altam, were the main central, I guess, focal point. You know how we all grew up hearing history, and it's always one-sided, like the conquerors would tell their story, but it would be a different version. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing is we're telling the Altam version, and it's a lot different.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it definitely contradicts everything we learned in school, you know, textbook-wise. So it's a new perspective, and that's kind of what I want to hear.
Yeah. And then the other thing we want to do is we want to show this on the nation. We've shown the film to Chairman Verlin Jose, and his staff, and so they watched the movie, and we got good comments on it. And so now we're trying to set up dates where we can show it out there. But if we get enough people interested, we can show it again here at Xavier. You know, because the filmmaker basically told us that it was our film, so we could, you know, mm-hmm. show it whenever there was a demand for it. So.
I do hope they do show it soon, because I want to see this. It interests me very much.
Yesterday, we took at that site where the battle happened in San Geronimo, we've taken the youth group from San Xavier, also the elders down there, and we've taken tribal leaders. When Chairman Norris was in office, we took his staff down there, and our local authority district politicians here, we took them down there. And yesterday we took the elders back because what happened, one of the things that Denny Seymour did was she found a wall cannon. The reason we went back yesterday is that she found another cannon, a second cannon, that might have been used in that battle. So, you know, it's something. I mean, the other thing is that with our research with the Savaipri Altam, you know, I think we grew up, you know, being told that the Altam were docile. You know, we weren't, you know, we were real peaceful and stuff, but that's not the case, because what happened with Coronado, and then also there's another battle that she wrote a book on, and it talks about the Altam defeating the Apaches and their allies, you know, and they chased them off and killed them on the way, you know, and even the Apaches, you know, were scared of the Altam because they were real fierce warriors. Mm-hmm. And it's common sense, you know, where we live here at Walk along the Santa Cruz, that, you know, we had the choice land. We had our fields, and so there was a lot of people traveling up and down the river. And I know the Altam are also diplomats, because they traded with the people that came through here. But when it came down to it, you know, we had to defend our land and our women and children. So, you know, we're not docile like we were told. And that's one of the things that I remember telling when we did a presentation to the kids. They were younger kids, like middle school kids. We told them the story about how the Altam, Savaipri Altam, were fierce warriors that you should have seen their faces light up. They were like, you know, like they were proud, you know.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we want to do is, you know, let our youth know who we mm-hmm. are, who their ancestors are, where we came from, and why we're still here. That's an important part.
Mm-hmm.
So our second question for you is, in your opinion, which part of this project was the most interesting to experience?
Like I just mentioned, I think the one with the kids, that was the most. And also what happened was that when I was working at the district as the cultural resource officer, I went to a lot of meetings in town, in Tucson, and, Pima County, because, they're forever building stuff, and they have to excavate. And a lot of times they come up with remains, cremations, artifacts. I was at a meeting in Tucson, and one of the Tucson archaeologists gave me some copies of a newspaper article from the Tucson Citizen, and it was written back in the 1930s. And he talks about two individuals. One of them was Toribio Aragon, which stated that he was the last Sabaypri warrior that passed away. And then they mentioned a Inacancio Mamaki, that she was the last Sabaypri, to pass away. And that was in the 30s. But come to find out, we traced their heritage, and we found out Toribio Aragon is the great-grandfather of the late James Preston.
Uh-huh.
And if you know who James Preston is or was, his great-grandson, Daniel Preston III, is our current legislative representative.
Yeah.
So we're not extinct. We're still here. And there's other families that finally, we interviewed a lot of people, especially elders, and they told us, they had heard stories that, there were Sabaypris, and they came out, we videotaped a whole lot of them. And so we're still around. I tell people, we're not extinct. And the other funny thing is that a lot of people think that the Allottee showed up when Kino showed up, but we were here way before him.
Yeah.
That was very interesting to hear. It's like that, what textbooks, that's all you learn in high school or middle school, and you don't hear Allottee.
You only hear like the other big names, mainly just the Trail of Tears or what was the other one? I think we probably only learned about the same two things throughout like our entire school years.
Yeah, so like having something like this for the kids to learn and know that, it didn't start when they're mentioned in textbook. It traces back to years and years before. And I think it's good for them to know that and to talk to their ancestors, or not ancestors, to talk to their elders and learn more about this, because this is really interesting.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I tell the kid, well, I call them kids, but the young adults and, younger, is that, they have to realize who they are, where they came from. I mean, what their ancestors did, that's why we're here now. And a lot of the younger generation has lost their identity, I think. And so they go with, like, the gangs in Tucson, or they try to copy them, or, and they wear their colors or whatever. But, we have our own, I don't want to say gang, but, we have our own tribe, that they can fall back on and, be proud of who they are.
Yeah.
Even though, you might not be 100% Allottee, but at least you have Allottee blood in you that, you should be proud of that. And also with, if you're mixed blood, you should be proud of that. But, don't follow the crowd, I guess, and because you'll just end up, not good for you.
Yeah, it's really sad to see, especially like when you know a lot of the people and you see them like start drifting and going the wrong way. And even when you try to help them, they don't want your help. So it's like a decision that they have to make themselves. But making them realize it is just a lot harder. So yeah, we're hoping to kind of steer the kids in the right way, or the youth.
Yeah.
Steer the youth in the right way so that they don't feel so tempted to follow everybody else.
So one of the other questions was, you mentioned some of the findings that you had. So the wall gun you said you found. Were there any other like important evidence that you found, and how does it relate to like how important they are to history now?
Well, that what we learned in school about the conquistadors that came through here, they always mention, or I always thought it was just the men, coming through here. Mm-hmm. But a lot of them had their families, and when like Coronado came through here, he had like 2,000-3,000 people with him, with cattle, sheep, horses, and it wasn't a little group of soldiers or conquistadors, but it was a whole mess of people that were coming through the land. So they left a lot of evidence, and I guess as untrained archaeologists, or we're not archaeologists, we don't see that. But like Denny Seymour, she's been studying this, and she's found a lot of stuff like horseshoe nails, horseshoes, mule shoes, arrowheads. And in that battle, I mentioned, there was a lot of crossbow bolt heads that she found, and arrowheads, and they're concentrated like they were firing back and forth. And, just different items. They even found like little, like pottery, and then like I think some of those people that have families brought over like China dishes, or there's fragments of some of those, how would you call them? I guess like plates or bowls that were made in China. Uh-huh. So they brought what they had, that's what's interesting, is that it gives you a whole lot new perspective how to look at that. Because like I mentioned, I always thought it was just like the soldiers coming through here and then invading and looking for the pot of gold, But it was like whole families.
You said that she found another wall gun, additional to the one that was already in the documentary?
Yeah.
Was that one still like in good condition too? Or was it damaged?
No, well, it was a little damaged, but what we're thinking is that it was fired, but it blew. I don't know, they might have packed too much gunpowder or something, but on the side it blew out. And so where the cannon was found, the barrel had that blowout on one side of that gun. And when they started looking in that area, they found little pieces of, I guess, you wouldn't call them BBs, but it was kind of like parts of the ball, I guess, that they were using,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, and that was interesting. But it's basically the same thing. Looks the same as the other one.
Oh, nice. So since you guys have collected all the evidence, how far do you see the project expanding? And are you going to continue working alongside the archaeologists?
Oh, yeah, God willing. Uh-huh. But hopefully we take it a lot further, because what the filmmaker, Francis, wants to do is he wants to do like a reenactment of that battle, but it takes a lot of money, to sponsor something like that. So we're right now we're kind of planning maybe going to the district or the nation to get, some kind of funding to help with that.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you hope to discover next? Like, is there any like major evidence you want to find that will like fill in a major piece of O'odham history?
You mean
like maybe more weapons they use, maybe what else? Like,
yeah, I think one of the things that we're looking forward to is finding a helmet or something.
Yeah.
You can consider a helmet or a breastplate or something, or a whole sword, because we found like tips of daggers and swords and stuff,
Yeah.
but not a whole one. So
That would be really cool to find it.
oh yeah.
have you found like any like human like remains or anything like that?
No. But if we did, because what we figured, like when they had the battle, I know like the O'odham would take their dead and I guess take them away from there. And so if the Spaniards, were killed and were left there, I'm sure, the animals got to them, so they'd be just scattered all over,
Yeah.
But we haven't found any bodies or anything like that.
Oof. Nards. Oh, wow.
One of the things that, we helped dig some of those sites. And let me mention that what the district also did was we established the ethnographic team, which consists of myself, Doctors Denny Seymour, and David Tenerio, who's the director of the natural resources at Xavier. So we're the ones that, because what was happening was in the past, people come to Xavier and want to do research. And whoever O'odham would be here at Xavier that ask them the history of Xavier, and the person might be from out west, from Cacao or some other place, or Cells. They won't know about Xavier, but they just tell them whatever they knew, and then they write it down. Mm-hmm. But it would be all wrong. So that's why we established our team. So when somebody would ask, the district would send them to us, and then we would, tell them the correct information. But anyway, now I lost my train of thought. What was it? You had asked me about something.
Well, I was asking about the human remains, but
Yeah.
Wait, was that it? Yeah, that's what I asked.
But yeah, I do hope we, find a lot more. I'm sure they will. I think one of the things that the kids, the young people, young adults, should get into is archaeology. I know they want to be doctors, nurses, and stuff, but that I think would benefit our, the tribe, having your own archaeologist. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of land that still needs to be uncovered, and there's probably a lot more history here that we don't even know. So, definitely.
Yeah, and I think it would benefit because if they had an O'odham archaeologist, I think the elders would allow them more leeway than a non-native.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So we're getting to our time limit. Is there any last thoughts that you have or anything you want to say?
Well, I just thank you for having me, and I hope you learned something.
Yeah, we
lot.
did. We did learn a lot.
I look forward to this movie, and I hope you guys will show it soon.
Yeah, and we do other presentations. If you look on YouTube, Denny has her information on there. We got different videos on there.
Oh, okay.
And one of them that the first video we did was, it's called Allottee. You can look that up on YouTube. And we had different speakers, that talked about who the Allottee are. And we talked about Santa Cruz River, the Tumacacri site, just different topics, because this whole area was the land of the Sobaipuri Allottee. And if you ever get a chance, look at Father Kino's map, where it shows where the Sobaipuri inhabited this place, not only the Santa Cruz, but the San Pedro River. And the other thing, too, is that when we started our research, we could never figure out, or I could never figure out what Sobaipuri meant. I always thought it was a Spanish word. And for a long time, we didn't know what it meant. And then we had done a presentation out at Kuaji in Santa Rosa. And one of the elders told us that his grandfather had told him about the Sobaipuri. But how you would say it in Autumn is Albavor. And I guess when the Spanish heard that, they just wrote it like how they will write it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Sobaipuri or Albavor means enemy, like, like the Apache or the enemy. Because like I mentioned, we had to be fierce, so we had to be like them. Mm-hmm. So, the other thing is the translations with the autumn words. I mean, like Bach, it's supposed to be walk, but the Spaniards or the Mexicans or whoever put Bach because they don't have a W, I think, in their vocabulary. And, Tumamak Hill, Jumamak, which means horned toad. So there's a lot of, it's fun to find correct people, because we've done talks. We did one recently at Tucson Medical Center Alumni Organization, and they were really surprised about Autumn, Sobaipuri Autumn, But we have a lot more presentations that, we can do.
That's really cool. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Hope to have you back in a future episode to talk more about this, because I'm sure everyone else will find this very interesting as well.
I hope so.
Yeah. Maybe it'll lead to another showing. Yeah. I have a feeling it will. So. Something to look forward to, and if it does lead to another showing, we'll of course announce it. So
we'll appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode with special guest Sanibel Allottee's board president, Tony Burrell. And if you're interested in learning more, visit Denny Seymour's YouTube channel. The video title is
Who Are the Sobaipuri Allottee? Tune in to our next episode where we'll be discussing the background of our name and the history of the defenders of Allottee land rights.
And be sure to follow us on all of our social accounts, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Just search up Autumn Land Defenders and it should come up. Thank you. Wait. Thank you. Bye.